I want to start by congratulating my fellow officers and by thanking all of their families for their support for the work that we do. It's truly a great honor to be chosen by your fellow letter carriers to serve as leaders of this great union. And we're a strange-looking group, but I think we're gonna do a good job. Tonight, the new Executive Council of the NALC takes on a solemn promise and a solemn responsibility to do our very best to defend and to promote the interests of America's city letter carriers, active and retired alike. But our responsibility is both deeper and broader than that. In this, our 126th year as a union, we bear the burden of carrying on a long tradition of solidarity and of progress, a tradition that's made possible by the men and women who built this union over multiple decades. Many of you are here. We are charged with strengthening the NALC and passing it on to the generations that follow. We also have the duty to fight for our fellow postal employees and for all American workers to create a more just, fair, and democratic country. And for that reason, I'm very thankful that Brother Mark Dimenstein of the APWU and Sister Jeanette Dwyer of the Rural Carriers are here with us tonight. Thanks so much for being here. And I wish Congressman Elijah Cummings, who was going to be the special guest, could have been with us tonight, because he's a great friend of letter carriers. Many of you have heard him speak, and we wish him well as he sits on the shoulder of I-95 with his flat tire. And finally, I'm going to tell him you clapped at that. And finally, as we assume office tonight, we take on a responsibility to the American people that we serve every day. Even as we fight to secure the job security and defend the standard of living of our members, we must also defend the Postal Service as an indispensable public institution. NALC and the other public unions are the last best line of defense for affordable universal postal services in this country. And the new Executive Council of the NALC will fight tirelessly to preserve and strengthen the Postal Service for the American people that we serve. Now, in this effort, I sincerely hope that we're going to have an engaged partner in the new Postmaster General, Megan Brennan. I want to again publicly congratulate Ms. Brennan on her recent appointment. As the first woman to serve as Postmaster General, she's making history. And we are pleased to know that she served as a city letter carrier and she belonged to the NALC when she first started out in the Postal Service. We have and we will reach out to Postmaster General Brennan and seek a better working relationship with postal management. I hope that we can use this transition in the leadership at both the Postal Service and the NALC to chart a new, more constructive course in the future. We hope that the new PMG will engage with all the unions to build consensus around a common vision for the Postal Service of the 21st century, built on innovation and built on growth instead of service cuts and austerity. We hope to convince her to see the Postal Service's delivery, retail, and processing networks as invaluable assets to be leveraged for new services, not simply cost to be radically minimized, as they've done in the past. And we hope that she will work with us and the Postal Service's other stakeholders to promote consensus reform in Congress. Of course, if the new Postmaster General pursues the same misguided path as her predecessor, we are fully prepared to ferociously resist. And we will. But for tonight, let us be optimistic and simply wish the new PMG good luck in her new job and offer her our warmest congratulations. Over the next couple of hours, I would like to discuss the challenges ahead. But I was told I couldn't. So over the next couple of minutes, I would like to discuss the challenges ahead and the goals of our Executive Council over the next 4 years. Many of you are old enough, wow, lots of you are old enough, to remember a time when the continued existence of the Postal Service was never in doubt. That is no longer the case. We face an existential threat to the Postal Service and our union, technologically and politically. As a result, the leaders that were installed here tonight, and indeed the NALC and the other postal unions, face political and legislative challenges over the next 4 years that are going to require our very best. Although the public support of the Postal Service has never waned or wavered, we have faced a sustained assault on the Postal Service as we know it anyway, from both postal executives and political opponents over the past several years. The Great Recession unleashed by the parties on Wall Street who crashed the economy, and the 2006 law that imposed the mandate to pre-fund future retiree health benefits decades in advance, establishing an overnight debt of $100 billion, all these things created a favorable environment for this assault. And the resulting manufactured tide of red ink has been used to advance radical service and job cuts. For the ideological privatizers of the Reagan-era 1980s who morphed into the anti-government nihilists of today, the recent manufactured financial crisis created an opportunity to advance proposals to effectively dismantle the Postal Service while attacking the collective bargaining rights of postal employees and reducing the size of the public sector in the United States. For the outgoing Postmaster General and other top postal managers who have never accepted the roles of unions in the Postal Service and who have always wanted to cut services like Saturday and door delivery to make their lives easier, the large reported financial losses of recent years has opened the possibility to advance a major downsizing agenda. And although we have not emerged unscathed from this assault on the Postal Service in the last few years, we have successfully resisted the most damaging attacks. Over the past 4 years, we have stopped disastrous postal reform legislation from advancing. Not just Representative Darrell Iss's postal destructive bills, not only Representative Darrell Iss's postal destruction bills, but also the deeply flawed and misguided Carper-Collins and then Carper-Coburn bills. And in so doing, we defeated attempts to gut benefits for injured workers and to undermine the collective bargaining rights of all postal employees. We have also fought off more than a dozen attempts to eliminate Saturday delivery. These attempts would have introduced private delivery to American mailboxes on the weekends, the first step towards deregulation and the end of affordable universal service. In this fight, we've had to overcome not just our political foes, but also some of our so-called political friends. And given the results of this past November's election, we can expect to face continued attacks, particularly on our health benefits and on our pensions. Retiree benefits will also face proposed budget cuts, COLA reductions, freezes, as well as Social Security and Medicare cuts. We will resist all such unfair budget cuts with every ounce of energy that we possess. Despite all this, we have some reason for cautious optimism on postal reform. That's because we've had some success in changing the debate about the Postal Service, and we've built a strong alliance with the other postal unions. Thanks to the efforts of thousands of union activists and to the work of our officers and our staff, the debate over the Postal Service has shifted. The tide of Postal Service red ink, once thought to be evidence of technological obsolescence, is now seen for what it is, the result of badly designed public policy. The strong performance of the Postal Service in the booming e-commerce sector has also been recognized. The case for eliminating Saturday delivery grows weaker by the day as the 7-day delivery grows across the country. Thank you very much. In the media, in Congress, and hopefully even in the White House, folks are reconsidering what they think they know about the future of the Postal Service. And this shift in the debate has helped our alliance of postal unions to build a coalition with the mailing industry to both resist destructive reform and to promote the case for some type of sensible reform. The most important stakeholders in the mailing industry, with the notable exception of the folks at L'Enfant Plaza, have worked out a consensus approach to postal reform that we aim to promote in the new year with the new Congress. The changing partisan makeup of Congress does not alter the shift in the debate or the case for consensus reform. Nonetheless, we know that the legislative challenge we face in this new Congress is going to be great. Although Senator Ron Johnson, get used to that, who's the new Republican chair of the Senate Oversight Committee, has supported taking the Postal Service into bankruptcy in order to void its labor contracts, we believe that the people of his state, including the mail-intensive paper industry in Wisconsin, will convince him to reconsider his views. And we have vowed to work with Representative Ice's replacement at the head of, it wasn't even Ice, it was his replacement, as the head of the House Oversight Committee to promote our consensus reform. And we hope that Congressman Jason Chaffetz of Utah will work with us to find common ground. So over the next 2 years, we're going to have to expand the coalition that we've built within the postal industry for postal legislation to include the American people in general. We're going to work with our alliance of postal unions to build a broad public coalition among veterans groups, senior citizen organizations, civil rights organizations, and other progressive forces. We have to seek to mobilize the public to support innovation and growth in the Postal Service, which would include postal financial services, vote by mail, and new partnerships with state and local governments. We can and we must leverage the strong public support for the Postal Service into some type of positive change. Now, of course, none of this is to say that we don't face severe political challenges. Workers have suffered greatly from depressingly low turnout during the past 2 midterm elections. The resulting attack on workers and their unions at the state level, believe me, is set to go national in the 114th Congress. We must resist and seek to reverse these losses in the next election. The failure of both parties to offer real solutions to decades of wage stagnation and deterioration in living standards is ultimately to blame. But that doesn't relieve us of the responsibility to politically mobilize. As federal employees, we know that no group of workers has more at stake than we do when it comes to electing pro-worker candidates to Congress and to the White House. NALC and the labor movement can and must do better to mobilize working-class Americans inside and outside of our ranks to elect a president and a Congress that will finally address the crisis of America's workers. The only way to do that is to enact policies that will help workers rebuild the labor movement. Our new team of officers is totally dedicated to take that task over during the next 4 years. Of course, we can do our part to strengthen the labor movement without any act of Congress. Our goal should be to organize every new letter carrier that is hired by the Postal Service. That means organizing city carrier assistants. Thanks to the new structure of the city carrier craft that was created by the DAS Award, 15 to 20% of our bargaining unit is made up of non-career CCAs. Now, traditionally, non-career carriers have been more difficult to organize. While we have historically organized more than 90% of career letter carriers, that's something to be proud of, more than 90%. While we've done that, the percentage among the transitional employees that we had hovered around 70%. However, if you remember, transitional employees had no guaranteed path to career status. However, our branches, we as an organization, cannot simply accept a permanently lower level of membership among CCAs without permanently weakening our union. And that's because all future career letter carriers, as you know, will come from today's pool of CCAs. We've devoted significant resources to serving the needs of CCAs recently, starting with assisting former TEs to get CCA positions, to negotiating a variety of workplace MOUs to address their needs. We've worked with branches on new orientation materials, and we've worked with postal management on new carrier training. We will continue to do this work in the future, and will focus on improving the pay and the working conditions for CCAs in the next round of bargaining. This focus on serving and organizing CCAs so far has paid off. Our level of organization among CCAs now runs between 80 and 90%. But still, the organizing gap between CCAs and career employees must be closed in order for the NALC to be as strong as we need to be to meet the challenges that we're going to face ahead. And again, the new Executive Council of the NALC is committed to doing just that. Even as we monitor the existing national agreement and use the mechanisms that it provides to advance the interests of our members, we're already preparing for the next round of bargaining, which is not far away in 2016. In a little over a year, we will be opening negotiations for a new national agreement. And we will focus on seeking on an agreement that rewards letter carriers for their hard work. We will fight to extend the ban on subcontracting delivery work, and we will seek to incorporate the lessons that we've learned with our Safety and Service Task Force into this new agreement. And just as importantly, we will seek to facilitate innovation and growth in the Postal Service by negotiating creative win-win arrangements to meet this growing demand that we're seeing for e-commerce deliveries. Our goal is to help the Postal Service become the dominant delivery company in residential America, an affordable, efficient public service utility with a career, full-time workforce earning a solid middle-class standard of living. Now, the challenges of the next 4 years, as Bill said, will be among the most difficult that our union has ever faced. I think I said that 4 years ago, and it was true. Yet as leaders, we must also be planning for the longer-term future of this union. And we will attend to that task as well during this term of office to maintain and grow the healthy status of our union. At the last two national conventions in Minneapolis and in Philadelphia, we initiated a dialogue with the union, within the union, about structural reforms that may be necessary to adapt to changing circumstances and to improve the effectiveness of the NALC. We discussed everything from the size, frequency, and duration of national conventions to the structure of our unions. We talked about mergers among our branches and/or with other unions. We even discussed whether to maintain the tradition of letter carrier brass bands and maybe to reduce the amount of speeches at installation ceremonies. That failed. As part of that discussion, we created a special review committee that was made up of union activists at all levels of the NALC to investigate the various issues. That committee prepared a well-received report to the convention in Philadelphia, which was then distributed to our branch presidents. Next year, I intend to reconvene that special review committee to continue the work. The committee will dig deeper and study the various recommendations of our delegates, and my hope is that the committee can produce a report with recommended constitutional and operational changes for the new Executive Council. Then the Council will debate and decide which proposals to bring to the 70th Biennial Convention in Los Angeles. The convention is the supreme decision-making body in our union, and I'm very confident that our activists will do what it takes to keep the NALC strong and united for many decades to come. Now, the goals that I've laid out tonight are ambitious ones. To achieve them, our union must aspire to the greatest possible strength. But we also need unity and a strong sense of hope for the future, the key ingredients for solidarity and for power. As I preach everywhere I travel across the country, unity is crucial. We must always remember that we all have the same goal: to improve the working lives of letter carriers. Now, we can disagree about the best ways to achieve that goal, but we must treat each other with respect and avoid the infighting within our union. Our members deserve the best possible representation, and that requires a commitment among leaders to work together so that we can provide it. Now, union elections can be divisive, but I sincerely believe that they make us stronger. They clarify the concerns and the needs of the members. The leaders installed tonight will use that strength to sharpen our focus in the future. But along with unity, we must hold on to a sense of hope for a better future. And at this moment, remaining hopeful may seem difficult. The mood in our country is very sour right now. The meanness of our politics and the partisan gridlock in Washington can be very dispiriting. The painful racial divide exposed by events in Ferguson and on Staten Island and evident in the general animus shown towards President Obama from some quarters is alarming. The vicious fight over our brothers and sisters who are immigrants to this land of immigrants is depressing. Yet as long as we have a union, we have hope. I never feel more proud, more patriotic, or more hopeful than when I'm surrounded by union members. As Jane suggested earlier, look around this room. I know it's scary, but look around this room. We are not alone. We have each other. In this room and across the country, we have the talent, the skills, and the values to meet any challenge that comes our way. And we have a tradition of more than 125 years to draw on. So don't get discouraged, brothers and sisters. This country is not doomed as long as it has unions to fight for working people. And don't lose faith, brothers and sisters. After all, you are members of the National Association of Letter Carriers. I have great hope for the future because I have great faith in all of you. I also have great faith in the men and women who were sworn in tonight, and so should you. So thank you, brothers and sisters. God bless you. God bless the NALC. Let's go have a holiday party. Thank you.